Okay, we're going to start with a couple of chants just to bring us into the right spirit and invite the holy beings into the room with us.
Incense burning, all space is filled with the fragrance. All Buddhas smell it from afar. Auspicious clouds gather everywhere. With utmost sincerity, all Buddhas appear. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage and offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas. We pay homage, we offer clouds of incense to the Bodhisattvas and the Mahasattvas.
Welcome, dear ones. Welcome again. So we're going to start off today's Dharma talk with a song. The Dharma talk is called The Nature of Suffering. That's something we can all relate to. And most of us here will know what the words dukkha and samsara mean, but we're also having this up on YouTube and Facebook, and we may have friends watching who don't really know what those words mean. So I'm just going to let y'all know, whoever is not quite knowing that yet, the word dukkha just is a Pali word that represents suffering, but it actually literally translates as, back in the Buddhist time, things were in ox carts, and those big wheels would get flat parts on them. And as the cart moves on, it goes kerplunk, kerplunk, and the faster your ox moves, kerplunk, 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 kerplunk. This essential non-satisfaction with the material world. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about dukkha. And so it could be anything from deep suffering all the way to just that mild annoyance. But if you've got eggs in the back of that cart, your eggs are going to get broken, maybe. So it can be everything. It can be that whole spectrum of suffering. So that's dukkha. Samsara. Samsara is just this world of suffering until we wake up to the nature of suffering. So those are the two words that will appear in this song, and now you know what they mean.
I've been dancing with dukkha since the day I was born, with a habitual mind of preference, judgment, and scorn, wandering in this wilderness of oblivion. Oh, haven't I suffered enough? Oh, haven't I suffered enough? I've been dancing with dukkha. I'm done dancing with dukkha. I found a new partner, teaching me how to be free. I'm done dancing with dukkha. No more suffering like I used to. No more dancing with dukkha. Now the Dharma's dancing with me. I've been grasping and clinging with this wanting mind, feeding personal preferences of every kind, in pain or grief or misery most of the time. Well, haven't I suffered enough? Oh, haven't I suffered enough? I've been dancing with dukkha. I'm done dancing with dukkha. I found a new partner, teaching me how to be free. I'm done dancing with dukkha. No more suffering like I used to. No more dancing with dukkha. Now the Dharma's dancing with me. I need a non-discriminating mind, where my bright intrinsic nature can be seen. I must be willing to realize the uncomfortable truths if I'm ever gonna be free from this deceptive, illusory, specious, egoic me. Now I'm dancing with Dharma. Yeah, I'm dancing with Dharma. Remove the dust from my mirror by seeing it's all empty. By dancing with Dharma, I'm working through all this karma. I'll dance right out of samsara. Now the Dharma's dancing with me. Yeah, I'm dancing with Dharma. I'm dancing with Dharma. Remove the dust from my mirror. I see it, it's all empty. It's all empty. By dancing with Dharma, I'm working through all this karma. I'll dance right out of samsara. Now the Dharma's dancing with me. I'll dance right out of samsara. Now the Dharma's dancing with me. I'll dance right out of samsara. Now the Dharma's dancing with me.
Dancing out of samsara. Now the Dharma's dancing with us. Yes. And so we're looking at the nature of suffering. And one of the most basic teachings of the Buddha is the Four Noble Truths. Number one, life is suffering or inherently unsatisfying. Number two, clinging, grasping, and attachment are the cause of the suffering. Number three, the good news. There is an end to this suffering. And number four, how do you do it? Number four is the Noble Eightfold Path. That includes right view, understanding impermanence, and the law of cause and effect. Number one, right view. These are not, these will not unfold in the order. Sometimes they might unfold in the order that they are on the list, but they don't have to. They seem to unfold in layers like peeling an onion. So that understanding impermanence and understanding the law of cause and effect, crucial. Number two, right intention or resolve. This could also be looked at as right thought, ethical and mental self-improvement, non-harming, and compassion. Number three, and this is probably the hardest one for most of us, especially in the Western culture, right speech. Abstaining from lying, abstaining from gossip, abstaining from harsh words, and abstaining from idle chatter. Buddha Master points to not only avoiding evil, but avoiding evils that have not yet matured. And boy, that idle chatter, so often, that embodies the evils that have not yet matured. So then number four, right action. Behaving peacefully, not killing, not stealing, and not committing, and it's often described as sexual misconduct, but I think that's because men interpreted it. It's probably their biggest challenge, but it really means sensual misconduct, feeding our minds things that are not beneficial or useful. So that could even be as simple as watching Game of Thrones, depending on how you receive it. I watched Venerable watch some of the most horrible shows, and I was horrified that my wonderful Buddhist teacher was watching these shows. And then I would ask her, get up the nerve to say, why do you do that? And she would say, they are filled with Dharma. They show us the suffering in the world. They show us the causes of suffering. And so really, it's not so much what you're doing, but how you're doing it and why you're doing it. And that's the skillful action, the right action. Then there's right livelihood, making a living in a way that does not harm other beings, such as butchering animals, avoiding trading in weapons or intoxicants. And avoiding trading in weapons, that sounds like just guns and bombs, but there are other forms of weapons that manipulate people. And so when we're looking, we have to look deeply into this Eightfold Path and how is it coming up in our lives and how do we work with that? Then there's right effort. This is a big challenge for me. Right effort is not pushing too hard or over-efforting. At the same time, not being too lazy or procrastinating. It's all about that middle path. Every one of them, all about that middle path. I'm getting better, but it used to be, boy, I would grab the bull by the horns and I'm going to make this happen. Boy, can you see right there? There's a real strong me that's gonna make this. And even if it's a wonderful thing that I'm trying to bring to fruition, just the fact that I'm approaching it with a me, I'm doomed to suffering. And my project is probably doomed to not being as truly beneficial as it would have been had I been able to seek out that middle path and just see what is needed in this moment. Be slow. Look deeply. I love my dear friend, Venerable Soma. She's one of my very greatest teachers because she's good at slowing me down and asking me, look deeply. She uses the word drill down. And when I can catch that energetic, things can develop with so much more grace and ease. And then there's right mindfulness, developing awareness of body, feelings, mind, and phenomenon. And boy, each one of these is a Dharma talk on their own. And then lastly is right concentration, developing deep mental focus and calm through meditation, but also through mindfulness in each moment. We study Dharma, and that's crucial and important, but it's absolutely useless if we don't take it from the Dharma hall and walk it out there. My first meditation teacher, Jenny Morgan, used to say, the important part is Dharma on the hoof. She was a country farm girl. Dharma on the hoof. And that's so true. And Buddha Master really stresses that for us over and over again in so many places. So the root of all suffering is the attachment to the concept of a solid, separate self. Anywhere you look, it all comes right down. Suffering. I'm suffering because I'm angry. Well, who is it that's angry? I've got a sense of a self that I'm protecting, that I'm justifying, and I'm making my anger righteous because of the selfing. The I, me, and mine, the solid, separate self, the self-cherishing. There's a wonderful Persian holy man by the name of Abdu'l-Baha, and in one of his talks, he said that in the future, words like I, me, and mine will be considered as obscenities, right? I mean, that's a And then I had to, because I had a big and I had to look up the definition of obscenity. And once I looked it up, it was like, well, yeah. The definition of obscenity is without any redeeming social qualities. These words do not benefit us, and they can reinforce our sense of self. Okay, then I'm going to talk a little bit about the burden of wanting, that wanting mind. And in the teachings of the Buddha, it's often pointed out, just a simple observation, when the mind is constantly saying, I want, I need, I have. And if you feel into that I want, there's a tightness and an agitation around that. There's the suffering right there, that tightness, that agitation. Even pleasant things can carry this tension too, because we have a fear of losing them, and a craving for more. A great example from my own personal life is we have the most beautiful botanical garden in St. Louis. And I remember the first time I went to the botanical gardens, and it was during the time that the irises were blooming. And I don't know if y'all have ever been to an iris garden where they have many, many different kinds of irises. But one thing you'll notice, if you're like me, I love the sense of smell is a really wonderful sense for me. And so I'm going around, and to begin with, it's like I'm just experiencing the beauty of all these rows of different colors and different patterns in the flowers. And I'm truly present with it, just soaking it in, and it felt so uplifting to the heart, almost expansive, taking us to that place of emptiness that's so full. And then as I start smelling of them, it's like, ooh, this one is really good. What's the name on that? Ooh, this one is really good. I'm still in experience. As soon as I go, what's the name of that one? And then I pulled out a little pad of paper and pencil that I had in my purse, and I wrote down the name of that one and then the color of it. And as I'm going around, I'm no longer present with the experience. I am thinking, I'm going to find a iris garden online, and I am going to order these, and I'm going to plant them in my yard, and I'm going to make them permanent in my experience. It's just, boy, selfing over and over. And the rest of the garden, I truly missed. You might also see it if you're on vacation and you're busy with your camera capturing the film person, the cameraman. He does not get the experience. He's busy, caught up in a material realm thing. And so I'd like to do a little exercise with you guys. I want you to take your left hand. Your injury is on the right hand, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, take your left hand and make a tight, tight fist with this. As tight as you can go, just hold it really, really tight. And I want you to keep holding it while I share a couple of things with you. If I were to say to you, whoever holds this tight fist the longest, I'm going to give you $500. Think about that. Now, I'm not really offering it, but just think about that for a minute. We would really kind of hold tight to this, right? Okay, so we're still holding. The self is motivated to cling to its identity. It's not just $500 for the self. It's its very existence. It is clinging and holding on for dear life. And once you realize that the emptiness of self, it no longer runs the show. It basically loses its power. It dies. Are you still holding tight? Mm-hmm. Is it starting to hurt? You feeling some tension? Getting any weariness yet? Yeah. Okay. Now, before you release the tightness in this hand, I'd like to point to something else. Feel the right hand. Just relax it on your lap. And now pay attention to the right hand. Just give all your awareness to that relaxed, gentle feeling in the right hand. Now notice how the left hand starts to tremble. It starts to lose its control. So 2 ways of working with the self. One is to just, now this isn't going to work. If we go isometric and try to peel it open, we're not going to be able to do that. That's over-efforting. But if we just give it permission, we come to the realization of emptiness, that the self doesn't really have any true solid separateness. Once we realize that, then we can feel the hand. And now allow your hand to relax and just let it go, let it relax. notice the tendency is to want to feel how it feels different inside as you let it relax. There's some heat now. And for me, my fingers are almost stuck in that grasping, clinging position. Facing this self is a practice. It's something we have to do. We have to consciously put some effort. So I'm going to consciously put some effort into pulling those fingers. And boy, they're tight. They want to still cling. Even though I know now intellectually there is no solid separate self. The clinging habitually has got me kind of stuck. There's so many beautiful things that help with stuckness. You all here today, the refuge of the Sangha, the refuge of the Buddha, our own enlightened Buddha nature, the refuge of the Dharma. These are all things that allow us to get that hand to stop clinging and even allow us to stretch it. And boy, does that feel good when you've been grabbing. Feels good to stretch in the opposite direction. So sometimes a little extra generosity might be in order before we pull into our middle path. Okay, and then there's a joy of lightness. When the craving loosens, something surprising happens in us. The mind becomes quieter. It actually will get quieter. And it's kind of like, you don't have to effort to make that happen. When the craving loosens, the mind begins to still. Contentment arises more easily in each moment, and even in the faces of difficulties. When we realize that these difficulties are not there to torture us, unless we're clinging to a self, in which case they will, but they are actually there to be the grit in the rock tumbler of self. That roughness, that harshness, the ability of a rock to actually cut something before it's been put in the rock tumbler. And then it goes in the rock tumbler. And the grit of life, all of the negativities, all of the things that we would not prefer, we would not choose. If we can look at that instead of going, damn, it happened again. I hate it when this happens. That's a natural response. My mama used to do that to the degree that we would try playfully to create an I hate list for her. And we go, oh, that goes on the I hate list, number 54. But to recognize that natural tendency of the self to feel the aversion, to hate things. And in that moment, if we can wake up that this is just a strangely wrapped gift, it's the grit in our rock tumbler that's paring away the self that clouds and gets in the way of the beauty of the polished Buddha nature. That when the rock is done tumbling and all the self is gone, we pull that beautiful, shiny rose quartz out of the rock tumbler. Buddha nature right there. So then things like a cup of tea, a breeze, the sound of the rain, these things all start to feel complete in themselves in this moment. And we don't have to think how can I make that permanent? That's so fun. We don't go there anymore. We just enjoy it. And we believe that our wants will make us happy. This is something that my brother John, who's also a Dharma teacher, he's the guiding teacher for Cleveland Insight. And I love the way his brain works, the way he sees Dharma. He sees it in a very different way than I do. And his Dharma talks are always so uplifting and awakening for me. What a gift to have a brother who does that for you. And he tells the story of when he and his wife, they had enough money and they wanted a hot tub. And so they were working with their budget, stocking aside a little money in the hot tub fund. Finally, they get the money and they call the construction guys and they get in there and they dig up that backyard and they put in the hot tub and they build a structure around it and they do beautiful tile floors around the hot tub. It's a thing of beauty. It feels great to get in. And he and his wife were both saying, if we get the hot tub, when we get out from work, we'll be able to get in there. Our aching bodies will be soothed. This will really bring us happiness. This is worth investing this amount of dollars in. And when they got it finished and they got in it, and John says, and it did, it really brought us happiness for 2 weeks. And then we wanted a pool. That's it. That's the wanting mind for you. It is never satisfied. I actually wanted to show you a video today because I feel like the graphicness of this representation of the wanting mind would really stick with you. So I might give you a little homework. Do you remember the movie Ghostbusters? Do you remember Slimer, the first ghost, the green bubbly guy that they first encountered? His name was Slimer. And when they first look at him, he's taken all the food that's left over on the plates outside of the rooms and he's pouring it in. He's insatiably hungry. And you watch it falling right through his body onto the floor. He received no satisfaction. This was a being from the hungry ghost realm. This is a true realm. These ones in the hungry ghost realm, they have no free will. They have no choice. They are stuck until through the merit of practitioners who are feeling compassion for their suffering, offer the merit that they may be lifted, that they may be awakened out of that realm. So there's a wonderful homework assignment. And the other one is watch Ghostbusters again and feel the wanting self in that ghost. It is really, and then whenever you wake up to your own wanting, you can go, aha, my inner Slimer is out. And then the result of letting that wanting mind run its course and it attacks you, and then you're slimed with sticky, gooey, icky selfing. I mean, really, guys, this isn't worth going there anymore. So, okay. So I'm not saying we don't need a sense of self, eradicate, pull it out by the root. I'm not saying that. This is a world of duality. If you take a look at it, you've got light and dark. You got male and female, yin and yang, day and night, good and bad. I like it, I don't like it. Self, no self. So I'm not saying we don't need the sense of self. What I am saying is, because without the self, things wouldn't happen in your life. You wouldn't pay your taxes. You wouldn't get to work on time. And you wouldn't make lunch for your kids. I mean, you got to have it. It's a functional tool is what it is. And that's all it is. It is not you. It is not me. It's a tool. Are you that hammer that hangs in your shed? None of us would think, oh yeah, there I am. No, it's a tool, the saw, the car that we drove here this morning. We know we're not that car. And yet it's a very useful tool to get us where we're going. Our cell phones, very useful tool. But they are not us. And so what we really are is that non-self, no self. That is where we can see the true Buddha nature. And the self, that tool, allows us to experience the suffering until we wake up and have suffered enough. We experience the suffering that polishes up our Buddha, that removes all the selfing from our Buddha nature. That's what this tool is for. It's a polishing tool. And so in that respect, when selfing arises, we can say, I see you, Mara. I know you, Mara, but you don't get to do that this time. And then we polished yet another layer. Each time we catch it, it's like in the gym. If you just stood there and held those weights, all you do is stretch your arms, you know. But with each repetition, each time we bring ourselves back, that's where new muscles old cells break down. And the fact that we needed those muscle cells that we just broke, the body is cued, put 2 little muscle fibers in that place. So by catching that self over and over again, we are strengthening our ability to not believe the lies that self tells us anymore. Okay. And so when the mind believes there's really a me, then it will defend that concept. It will cling to its personal preferences, what it wants, its ideas, and its fixed beliefs. It's really important. I want to give you, because I love analogies, they help me reinforce, and sometimes they point a finger at the truth from a different angle. So I'm going to give you a series of little analogies that represent that self. What about an actor in a movie or a play, where the sense of self could be compared to the role that the actor is playing? And some actors actually can get so caught up in their part that they feel it kind of unfolding in their lives. So if they're playing the part of a character who loses money, relationships fall apart, dangers appear everywhere, they can find themselves becoming more depressed in life. Because as the Buddha told us in the Dhammapada, whatever we continually dwell on mentally becomes the inclination of our mind. And so if you're an actor, good to know, right? And be sure that you're working your Dharma side when you're playing, and knowing that that's only a role. My husband has just found his inner thespian. For the last 3 years, this man has been trying out for parts in the local plays. And they hire all local players, no professionals, for the Christmas play. In the summer season, we have professionals. But and so the first year Richard tried out, he got the part of in A Christmas Carol, he got the part of Jacob Marley's ghost. And this man loves acting. And so he spent an hour a day practicing his part. And oh my God, he was creepy. Woo. And I would find myself, he'd be practicing in the living room. He'd go, I'd be reading or something. He'd go, can I just practice in here? I've got plenty of space to do the walkthrough. And it's like, okay, yes. And so I would just think, well, I'm going to just appreciate my husband enjoying acting. Oh, I found, no, I need to go and plant myself somewhere else. I do not want to be experienced, because he really caught the spirit of a tortured, hungry ghost. He caught that spirit, and our living room was filled with it. And I noticed in him more of a pensiveness. By the end of the month-long practicing before the play went on, and played for a week, his personality seemed to change a little bit, where he was more depressed, more he wasn't happy. I didn't see happiness in him very much. And so once the play was over, he came back to his normal self. But this past year, the play was Miracle on 34th Street. And if you remember that, Santa Claus is this old man who really believes he's Santa Claus. And he lives in this assisted living facility. And there's a doctor on staff there at the assisted living facility who loves the old man and feels like, yeah, he's delusional, but his delusions are wonderful and they make the world more beautiful. He's certainly not a danger to himself or others. And this doctor throughout the play defends Santa. And Richard had the part of the doctor. And I found that his personality, again, did a little bit of a shift there. And he would look out for me more, things that he didn't ordinarily do. Do you have, did you remember your wallet when I'd be headed out? Did you, just little things where he'd be checking up on me like I was Santa. It was really sweet to see, but it really demonstrated so clearly for me how what we continually think upon becomes the inclination of our mind. That is a great tool to know that, because it tells you, make your list. What do I want to think about today? You know, put that on your refrigerator. What are the beautiful, uplifting thoughts you can imagine? We watch the news. ICE goes in there and kills American citizens. And then we watch nothing happen to stop it. I mean, think about putting your thought energy on that. If we suffer with it and we want to get out there and sing with the raging grannies or protest in some way, all we're doing is keeping our thoughts on the negativity, that low frequency. Not that we don't need those people, we do. And if that's their calling and that's where they are on their karmic path, go, sister, do that. But I've suffered enough. I choose not to do that. And so when that view comes across my screen, I see the suffering of those beings, and I see the suffering of all these leaders around the world that are so unskillful. And my mantra has become, see that, Maureen? That's why we practice. We're not just practicing for our own little awakening so we can be an arhat. We are practicing for the benefit of all beings, to save all sentient beings, so that we can truly step into the Bodhisattva path and really be of benefit to others. So that list on your refrigerator, that's going to be how you can train your mind, which is 5 times more likely to think something negative. Rick Hansen did a study on that. And he said, that's just our instinctual nature. That's coded in the human animal for survival. At a certain point, we needed that. We lived out in nature, and there were tigers and bears that wanted to eat us. Today, the biggest bear that wants to eat us is our computer going down. You know, we don't need to have adrenaline to fight that. And we don't need to go there. And so to change those thoughts, to notice when we're thinking a negative thought, and then to rein that thought in and say, Rick says that if when you think a negative thought, which we're 5 times more likely to do than a positive one, he said, immediately catch it and change it right here, right now in this moment. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to do this, friends. This is not a laborious practice. But when you catch the negativity coming through your mind, Panadipa would say things like, think of something beautiful. Think of something fun. Think of something cute. And then he got quiet and he'd go, think of puppies and butterflies. And those of you who knew Panadipa, this very tall, dignified, stoic man, to say, think about puppies and butterflies. It was just a delight to feel the Dharma coming through Dipa in that way. But do that. Have your list with what is wonderful. Did you ever go to Hawaii? Did you want to go to Ireland and you pulled out those pictures? You can even put a picture on the refrigerator of a beautiful place that you have visited or might like to visit, something that brings joy and beauty into your life. And he says, you recode those pathways in the brain. This is neuroscience, guys. You recode the brain to now have its default for the beauty in life, that we may radiate that out to everyone who crosses our path. Because we carry ourselves into the world. And if we're grumpy and angry, what we're splashing on everybody that we stand in the line behind in the grocery store gets washed in that crap. Really? Is that what you want to do? You're not just practicing for yourself. You are practicing for all beings. Okay, another one is the wave on the ocean, and the wave might think, I am a separate wave. I must survive. I must be bigger than the other waves, comparing mind, right? But that is the wave misunderstanding its very nature. It's not seeing its Buddha nature. It's seeing its separate sin. And when it awakens to its Buddha nature, it realizes, oh, I'm just a part of the ocean. I will never cease to exist. When this form crashes on the shore, I go back into the entire essence of the ocean. What a beautiful thought. So I love that one. And the fear of ceasing to exist, it's gone. It's gone. Venerable modeled that so beautifully for us in her last dying days, how she was so ready to go. And sometimes she would cried. And I asked her, what are you crying for, Venerable? And I thought she might be scared of dying or, what is so sad? She says, what is so sad for me is that I'm still in this body that can no longer serve the Dharma. I want to go so badly. That wave saw its essential nature. It wanted to crash on the shore, and it delighted when it got to take its last breath and whoosh on the shore. Okay, another one is we all have gone to Starbucks. And I mean, I'm assuming we've all gone to Starbucks. And when they take your order, they ask for a name and they write it on the cup. And then the cup comes out the other side. And you know that that's what you ordered because your name is written on it. But think about this. The written name, that's just self. That's all that is. It doesn't tell you anything about what's inside of that cup. Pretty interesting. Same way that the me label is something that the mind writes on on this constantly changing stream of experience. That's what's happening. It's writing me on it. Once you know that, it's nothing wrong with knowing that's my cup, but now you're aware of what's inside the cup. Another one is a knot in a macrame cord. And we've seen these beautiful red silk cord bracelets that many of us wear. And there's these little knots in them that when you look at the cord, it almost looks like it's a separate bead, a thing that's been strung on the cord, a self. Take it apart, untie the cord. There's no self. There's no self. It's all part of one thing. And then the Buddha uses the chariot analogy, and I'm sure we've all heard that. I don't know if I can pronounce these words properly. The monk Nagasena explained this to the Greek king Mander I in the text called Melinda Panha. Nagasena asked the king, Your Majesty, what is a chariot? The king replied that a chariot is made up of many parts. Nagasena then asked, okay, then is the chariot the wheels? Is the chariot the axle? Is the chariot the frame, the yoke, the reins? And to each one of these questions, the Buddha said, no, it isn't. And Nagasena finally got it. The light bulb went on. He goes, aha, the word chariot is simply a convenient name given to a collection of assembled parts. And that's what we are working with when we're working with the self. The self is just a collection of processes, ever-changing processes. It's the body. It's the sensations. It's what we do with those sensations, perception. It's the thoughts. It's the consciousness. These are all the different parts of our chariot we call self. And if we look very closely, we see none of those are us. We are not that. So the self is very much like the chariot. And that's a useful label. Venerable used to use the car. She said she updated the sutta, and she'd use the car as the example. Same exact message, and it comes through strong. Okay. So seeing through clinging and attachment. So we want to know what are some useful tools that will help us recognize self as just a mirage in the desert. The wanting mind is a real problem. Look at realizing personal preferences. I want this, I don't want that. It doesn't mean, when we talk about renunciation, that doesn't mean, okay, then I want ice cream. That doesn't mean don't have the ice cream. It just says Slimer is wanting the ice cream. Once you've eaten it, you may be satisfied like my brother for a moment, but then you're going to need a pool. And so there's nothing wrong with enjoying the ice cream, and we can do it in a very skillful way with gratitude to those who raised the cows, raised the hay that fed the cows, those who milked the cows. I mean, we can just allow ourselves, as we're enjoying this ice cream, to make it an absolute gratitude practice, seeing all of those living beings and feeling great gratitude and wishes for their enlightenment. May they all suffering cease for all these beings that went into this bowl of ice cream. Okay, so that's one, watching our personal preferences. Then there's right thought, and we've already talked about that one and how thought, we create our own reality by the consistent thoughts and beliefs that we feed. Just recognizing that and choosing to think a different thought. There's another practice that will help us. Right speech. Just the way we speak can reinforce a sense of self. And so the things like, I want a dish of ice cream, I am angry, I need to go to the store. Something as simple as trying to reword our self-talk could be helpful in turning our mind around a bit. It's a game. I invite you to use these playfully. When our practice becomes heavy and stoic and filled with I should, and then judgment when we fall short, that is not how that's way over efforting and leads to suffering after suffering. But if we can hold our practice lightly and playfully and make games of some of these practices, and one thing I have really appreciated when I want that self-deprecation, myself is wanting to say, Maureen, you are so messing up here. It's a judgment, it's a self-deprecation thing. And I think we all have it to one degree or another. But my mantra has become, well, what did you expect, Maureen? Welcome to the human condition. And I have to chuckle when I say that to myself, and it lifts it up, the heaviness, because it's all about energy and vibration anyways, the heaviness of the one way of being versus the playfulness, there's a lightness. We're almost like angelic spirits lightness when we can receive our practice with playfulness. It doesn't make it less profound. It doesn't make it less transforming. If anything, it quickens our vibratory rate to where we can actually begin to live from that place of no self, that place of emptiness. Emptiness of what? Emptiness of self. Full of what? Full of Buddha nature. Can you feel that? There's almost a poofy, light, uplifting kind of feeling to that. So we could change our inner talk by saying something like, a dish of ice cream would be nice. That's a good way to recognize that I am wanting, but I'm not saying I want, because when I want a dish of ice cream, think that word for a moment. I want a dish of ice cream. Just think that inside and feel that energetic. And now think of a dish of ice cream might be nice. Can you just feel the difference in the heaviness of one and the lightness of the other? I am angry. Feel that one. I am angry. I almost tightened up. My hands naturally went into a fist, thinking, I am angry. But now, let's honor that this human animal has emotions. We don't want to never feel anger. But how about if we said, anger is arising in this one, in this moment. Can you feel the difference in the heaviness of the mentalness? I am angry. It even affects the body. But if I say, anger is arising in this one, in this moment, there's no clinging, there's no attachment, there's no heaviness. There's a recognition and a discernment of what's true in this moment. But it doesn't point fingers. It doesn't put blame. It looks directly here and recognizing anger is a friend that tells me what I feel strongly about. That's all it is. It's just to wake us up to what we feel strongly about. And then we get to do that question of, well, is that a benefit to living beings? If it is, anger is not the best way to deal with it. And if it's not a benefit to living beings, let's do what Panadipa said and think of puppies and butterflies. Okay. Another great tool for working with this self is the Brahma Viharas, the divine abodes. Number one, metta, or loving kindness or goodwill. And the wish for happiness and the welfare of all beings, that's metta. And each of these Brahma Viharas are actually an antidote. They neutralize negative things. The metta, the loving kindness, that neutralizes ill will, resentment, hatred, judging mind, and anger. There's probably a few more we could think of as well that it's a good neutralizer for. Okay, the second one is karuna, or compassion. I love the word karuna. Just the sound of it is uplifting to me. It's the desire to see others free from suffering. And Buddha Master tells us when we're working with the karuna practice that we want it for all beings. And we are one of the beings that we're wanting it for. But we would be more delighted to see it happen for Joe, to see it happen for Jamie or David. There would be more delight in that kind of compassion. And yes, for ourselves as well. I'm not saying beat ourselves up or do anything mean to ourselves, because we are one of those living beings. We are one of those sentient beings, and we feel the need for compassion for our own selves. A lot of times compassion for our own selves when we're in the midst of something that we can't change, and it's hard. That is the only way to skillfully get ourselves through those moments. So, karuna, and it is the neutralization for cruelty and pity. When we pity another, sympathy, pity for another, that says, oh, poor you. On the tail end of that one is, glad it's not me. You know, pity is not a useful emotion. And that's where compassion can neutralize the pity. And once it's been neutralized, what pity turns into is empathy. We feel with them, calm passion. We feel with them. And so when a friend is suffering, they may need to share their story of what's going on. This is traumatic for them. They're in pain, they're scared, and they need a sounding board. And when they share with us and we go with, oh, I feel so bad for you. That sounds really hard. Feel the energy of that. Feel how heavy that energy is. That's what Venerable told me. That's when the guy is in the bottom of the well, stuck down there, suffering. That's you jumping into the well with them. Don't jump into the well with them. All you've done is now make two people suffering, But throwing the rope down to them and guiding them, to how to come up, making sure it's firmly tied with statements like, I hear you. I see you. Venerable Soma does a beautiful practice where you look into the eyes of others and say, I see you. Or I'm holding you in my heart. There's a big rope that with knots in it, that they can actually climb up on. So you're not in the well with them. So there you go. Karuna, mudita. This might be well, they're all my favorite in different ways. I can't get a favorite on the Brahmaviharas. But the mudita, that's the empathetic. It says sympathetic joy, but I don't think that's a good translation. I think it really means empathetic joy, where we find delight in the good fortune of others. And the things like the motorcycle that's so loud with that engine on it that used to annoy the crap out of me. Why don't they put a muffler on that thing? And now what I'm finding is a mudita practice where he loves the sense of power in his bike. He lays it over going around these curves in the mountains. I can almost be on the back of his motorcycle with earplugs. But I can delight in the fact that he's got that. There's things like the neighbor just got a Maserati convertible. And we look out and it's like, oh my God, we go, is that yours? He goes, yeah, I've been wanting this thing all my life. And we can feel, darn, why does he get to have that and I don't? Envy, jealousy can arise in that moment. But with mudita on board, that will not arise, because you're going to see the joy in his, that he's wanted that thing all his life. Now he's got the little boy's toy that he wanted when he was 10. This now 55-year-old man has it. What a great place to delight in his good fortune, So mudita, I'm telling you guys, take that one with you. It is the dissolution of discontent. It dissolves envy, it dissolves jealousy, and it dissolves judging mind. So, mudita. And then the fourth one is upekkha, equanimity. And this is a balanced and impartial state of mind, recognizing where one can truly be of help. Buddha Master actually takes us even a little deeper than that, where he says it's, if we're really in equanimity at one of its deepest levels, it's unlimited or unbound generosity. When we're at peace in the midst of it all, we are so able to offer. Sometimes our material possessions, often just our heart and our joy and our blessings and our love. We can circle beings with love and light when we're in a space of equanimity. Equanimity is the dissolution of attachment, which is the problem. As we said earlier, self isn't the problem. It's attachment to self and thinking that it's real. That's the problem. And this equanimity dissolves that attachment. So good to know that we've got tools that really work here, guys. It dissolves aversion and it dissolves indifference and it dissolves irritation. And boy, not a one of us goes through a day without irritation touching us in one way or the other. And what I love is when I feel that irritation come up in myself. Sometimes I'm judging someone who I'm close to and I love, and I don't want to judge them, and yet the judging mind comes up. And so for when I feel that judging mind come up and know there's an ego self who's really taken the reins in this moment, I can tell myself, a little mantra that I use over and over is, may I be at peace in the midst of it all. May I be at peace. And if I can be at peace in the midst of it all, I can see clearly in this moment, do I need to say something to that person? Is there some true discernment that that was inappropriate? And if I do, am I the one to say it? Is this the right time for it to be said? We go through the whole list Buddha gave us about correct speech before we ever say anything. And the last question is my own one, because it really is important on this one. What is my motive for wanting to say this? What is my motive? And if the answer to any of those is a no, or non-skillful. Just let silence be your only comment. What a beautiful gift. And then we can feel the equanimity. May I be at peace in the midst of it all. Just wash it away. Let it go. Let it go. Okay. So by cultivating these four, we can transform the habitual tendency of our minds, overcome our negativities, foster a more natural and compassionate connection with ourselves and with the world. Brahma Viharas. Yes, thank you, Buddha. Okay, so now I'm going to go into, we've worked with a lot of the things that the Buddha has offered us. I'm going to go into some practices that come from the wisdom of YouTube, but I want to share them with you because I think they can be very useful. And you know, all worldly Dharma is Buddha Dharma. So I invite you to take this with a grain of salt. If it resonates for you and you find it useful, take it home and use it. But know that it's probably worth exactly what you just paid for it. Number one is attention, paying attention. Wherever you place steady attention, you feed a vibratory field. And we've been talking about that vibration, that energy, feeling into the clinging versus the release. That's what we're talking about. Where you put your attention is the field that you feed. So attention is your spiritual currency. Where are you spending your spiritual dollars? Think about that. What do you attend to? Do you get up in the morning and turn on the news? Is that the first thing you start your day with? Boy, not a good place to put our attention. There's so many more wonderful places. Our practice, thinking about puppies and butterflies. I mean, there's so many more wonderful ways to start our day. So be noticing where you're spending your spiritual dollars. When you repeatedly track a narrative, such as repeatedly scanning for a threat, rehearsing a fear scenario that might happen. Fear is always about the future. Fear is not about now. If you're in a crisis right now, you're not afraid. You're on task. You're here. And then when the emergency is over, you go, and then you'll break down in tears sometimes, but because of the experience. But fear, it does not arise in the moment. Fear is about the future. It's always about the future. Okay, and so be noticing that. That is your attention going to, your attention is a kind of yes to whatever you're attending to. You are saying, bring me more. That's what you're actually doing. You're drawing more of it to you. So what do you want more of? Attend to that. Let's look at that list of wonderfulness on the refrigerator that we want to continue to bring to mind. What is it that you would like to see happen in this world? We want to see the awakening of all beings. Well, how about what would that look like in this world? Anybody remember seeing the movie Celestine Prophecy or reading the book? Yeah. There's some visualizations. Watch that movie again. See what the world looks like when it really is all of us living together from our Buddha nature. Let's put our attention on that. Let's feed that into reality. And we can do it, especially if we do it collectively. Heart Math Institute has these global heart opening meditations that everybody meditates at the same time on the same energetic, and they change the world. Research has shown crime drops in an area where meditators are doing that. And then when they stop the meditation, the crime continues. So that says we practice constantly. We make it our default. So it takes zero effort. Okay. Here's another one that's pretty important. Emotion, our emotions. And our society tells us, of course, it's a patriarchal society, and the men have been so cruel to men by saying, if you cry or you act like a woman, you're less than. What a sick mindset. Our most beautiful men are those who are androgynous, who have nurtured their female side along with their male side. I love Rob. Rob does that so beautifully for me, how he is a strong male, manly man in one aspect, but that beautiful fathering he does with Teo, the gentle way he supports Jane when she has a health issue that brings her down. He's got such a smooth and gentle love. It's motherly. This man embodies. Jamie does this for me. I love it. I love how androgynous you are. I see Jesus shining through Jamie. Joe, oh my God, Joe is so androgynous, so beautiful, so strong, engineer mind, and so kind and willing to tear up in the face of an intense dharmic principle. We have models for this right here in our Sangha. Guys, get inspired. Okay, so emotion is the amplifier. Emotion gives volume to our patterns of thinking. Your task is not emotional suppression. Your task is emotional alchemy. Allow feeling to move you through without building a throne for it. Emotional honesty, combined with calm breath, creates a clear current. Emotion fused with a story of me creates a loop of suffering. So again, we can choose our emotions. In the face of an emotion, we can do a diva. Butterflies and puppies. I'm just telling you, butterflies and puppies. This is a good answer. All right, so we talked a little earlier about how to take care of our loved ones that were feeling suffering, how to throw the rope down the well. There's another thing that will really help uproot self, and that is the refuge of the Sangha. I just pointed out a couple of our Sangha members that inspire me. And all of you, when I touch bases with each of you, you all inspire me in different ways. I love Bill. Bill's tendency to always look out for you. He's getting up to do something for himself. Do you need anything? Can I bring you this? We all model something beautiful for one another. What I'd like to do at this time is ask Sister Kadara to come up. She has written a song that looks directly at the refuge of the Sangha, but also honors Kuan Yin at the same time, who is our inspiration of how do we act as a Sangha. Kuan Yin models that for us. So thank you, Kadara.
You're welcome. I finished it this morning, so hang tight with me, y'all. I'd like to add to your, may I add something?
Oh, please do.
To uprooting the self, and that's kind of what this song is about, which is so cool. Like, I'm smiling so much because I think this song came through this morning because it was waiting for Dharma talk. It was like, you know, just like alignment, but taking our attention to the suffering of others. That's what frees us from our suffering, because we see our suffering as not personal. It's not only a me that has this, but it's a characteristic of samsara. So when we actually look at the suffering of living beings, that's how we become free. And that's the Bodhisattva path. And that's kind of what this song is about, and how we're learning how to do that together with one another, and by placing our attention upon the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, because nothing can stain them. They are completely pure and free. Okay, I have to look at my notes. This one was actually initially inspired by Busita. Because she advocates for everyone in the Sangha constantly. You guys might not see it because you're not here, but it is something that I'm a witness to daily. And so she doesn't abandon anyone, and she's constantly thinking about you guys, and that's how Venerable was. And that takes a lot of work because we're with ourselves 25/8, you know? So you have to intentionally turn your mind to the needs of others. And that takes every part of us all the time. So it was initially inspired by her, and then it came full circle to Kuan Yin. Oh, compassionate one, come here. Save us with your all-pervading ear. You hear every cry all the time. Grant us your blessings in this life. And be our Kalyanamita. The Dharma's where we'll meet ya. 'Cause you're our Kalyanamita in the end. Kalyanamita means Dharma friend. To be a friend like you, oh, what to do. To think about them all and their every need. Compassion is the only thought, closest thought to our truth. To be a friend in everything. And be a Kalyanamita. The Dharma's where I'll meet ya. 'Cause you're my Kalyanamita till the end. Oh, what the world would be to let go our selfish deeds and have eyes like yours, and to see clearly, and to reach beyond the other shore, cross beyond all suffering, and never leave anyone behind in this life. Okay, sing it with me. And be a Kalyanamita. The Dharma's where I'll meet ya. 'Cause you're my Kalyanamita till the end. 'Cause you're my Kalyanamita. The Dharma's where I'll meet ya. 'Cause you're my Kalyanamita till the end.
Yes.
That bridge needs work, but that's
That's beautiful. I can hardly wait till Dharma Bhotsa records that and gets that out into the world, right? Okay, so we have a few minutes left here together, friends. And so what I'd like to just reiterate is that all Dharma is Buddha Dharma. Ordinary life itself reveals the truths that the Buddha taught us. Examples would be things like a flower blooming and fading shows impermanence. Well, we have to change out our flowers frequently. Conflict between people reveals attachment and ego. A moment of kindness shows compassion and interconnection. Watching thoughts arise and disappear, that one really can show the nature of no self. And although self is not a solid entity, yet the experience of being a person, it still functions beautifully in the world if we recognize it as a tool. The problem that causes the suffering is not the appearance of the self. The problem is attachment to the illusory self as what we really are. That's where we suffer. That's what the root of the problem is. It's just a useful tool to experience this wonderful opportunity of having this precious human life. Our moments are limited. What do you choose to spend your moments doing, thinking, saying, and being with? So I would like to close out with a song by Kirtana. This is truly a meditation. I'd like you to listen deeply to the lyrics of this song. It addresses exactly what we've been working with here today.
Could there be more to this life we call mine than a journey through space or a storyline? More to life than the body can sense, than the mind can conclude from experience. This who we are, begin with breath, depend on form, or end with death. Strip away these roles, these names, and tell me what remains, and who you really are, who you really are. Measure success by the things we accrue, or the bonds that we form, or the deeds we do. But these too shall pass. As hard as we try to hold on to form, form will die. But inherent in this dance of form is the chance to see what's yet unborn. Choice to throw this chance away and be caught up in the play of who we think we are, who we think we are. This is your lifetime. It could end at any time. Where is your attention? Where is your prayer? Where is your song? In a fortunate life comes a call to be free from the cycle of bondage. And this So before the final scene is past, see the screen on which it's cast. See what's seeing this me and you, and then you will see who you really are, who you really are, who you really are, who we really are.
See what's seeing, this me and you. And then see more beautifulness there, but not for today. See what's seeing, this me and you. And then you will see who you really are. That's calling us to that place of emptiness, that place of Buddha nature. So I'd like to offer a little dedication of merit to send us on our way with today. Thank you all so much for being here, for bringing your beautiful energy to this Dharma talk. I so appreciate you all.
Thank you, Maureen.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awaken to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are